When we come with that heat, we got skip on the.
Public fades NFL Week 16. Wow. How are we already here, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you how. Because time flies when we're having fun. And there is no more fun to be had than the fun that is had during the football season. And I'll tell you right now, I've had a lot of fun. Obviously, we started the $1 Million Radio podcast last football season. That was a lot of fun. We've been doing it for 2 football seasons now, over a year. But this is the first year I've done public fades, and it's been a whole lot of fun. Not really last week. Yeah. Last week, 1-2. 1-3 in the honorable mentions. We're now 35-20. Now, hey, we did hit our goal that I set a couple weeks ago, and that was to get to 35 wins before we got to 20 losses. And just so happened to work out to where we did do that last week. So we're setting goals, we're hitting goals, and 15 games above 500. I mean, you can't. When it comes to sports betting, I mean, I'd like to be undefeated, but it doesn't get much better than being 15 games above 500. So Public Fades has done very well for us this year. 1-2 last week, 3-0 the week before, 1-2 the week before that, 3-0 the week before that one. So it kind of evens out when you look at it. But couple 3-0 weekends. It took us all season to get undefeated. Then we did it 2 out of 3 weeks in a row. So looking to get back onto that. But last week, it was just a bad week to bet against the public. It was a public-sided weekend. Now, there were some games that, the Colts, Phillip Rivers, 13.5 underdogs at Seattle. Old Grandpa Phil out there, slinging the rock. Looking like you know what he looked like out there. You saw it. But, man, Phillip Rivers, what can you say? First ballot Hall of Famer, but it's going to have to wait 5 more years, apparently. So last week, like I said, 1-2, 1-3 in honorable mentions. The one win we had official play, Baltimore -2.5 at Cincinnati. 24-0 win. Easy. Cash it. Okay, I need a big week from Lamar this week for fantasy purposes. But, yeah, he did his thing. The Ravens did their thing. Cincinnati's done. Joe Burrow's depressed, They got one on the road at Miami, so maybe the warmer weather being down in Miami might cheer him up a little bit. Who knows? But as of last week, it was a really cold weekend of football, and not much colder than this Baltimore game, as well as the Chicago and Cleveland game I'll get to in just a second. But Baltimore -2.5 on the road, 24-0 win. Cash that one. Now, let's get to the losses. Leaves a bad taste in your mouth. What I'm about to go over. Arizona +9.5 at Houston. Now, obviously, Houston, one of the best defenses in the league. Obviously, they played pretty well at home. And obviously, the Arizona Cardinals are one of the worst teams in the league. Let's just call it what it is. They've been an absolute train wreck all year. There was a stretch of games where they lost like 5 games in a row, but all 5 were like 4 points or less. And then they got absolutely demolished by Seattle a few weeks ago. And since then, they cover, then they don't. They covered, then they don't. And then they didn't cover last week. 40-20 loss at Houston. Yeah, so let's just forget about that one. Now, this next one, Cleveland +7.5 at Chicago. I got clowned. in the TikToks the comments. Chicago fans found the video, as they should, when I hashtag the Bears, hashtag Chicago Bears. I mean, that's kind of the point. I want these fans to see whenever I make a play. And hopefully whenever I make a play, it's right. But I put it up on TikTok. I clip all these plays, put them up, post them, leave them up. Now, a lot of guys, whenever it's a bad loss, let's take that one off the page. Let's get that one off the feed where people don't see that I got that one completely wrong. Now, the words I used were Chicago was not going to be able to get Green Bay off their minds this past week. They just lost to the Packers. They're playing them again this week. Cleveland plus 7.5 at Chicago. Super cold game. There's not going to be a lot of scoring at all. I was half right. Cleveland didn't score a lot of points. Chicago 31-3. Yeah, Chicago's a good team. I'll give it to them. I've been waiting on their downfall. Been calling it a historic downfall coming for Chicago. Maybe it happens. Hadn't happened yet. We'll see if they can beat Green Bay this week. They are now the slight favorite, but a couple guys are out for both teams. But we'll get to that here later on. Yeah, just a bad loss. I mean, why am I putting money on Cleveland? I don't know. Cleveland and Arizona, I don't know. I was trying to get gross. I think I was trying too hard. I need to just look at, whenever I say get gross, the 2 weekends that we went 3-0, I said I was trying to find the grossest games on the slate, and I think I just tried too hard with a couple of these games last week. Honorable mentions last week, one winner there, New Orleans plus 2.5 at home against Carolina. This is a game where they won at Carolina a few weeks ago, 17-7, and New Orleans squeaked out a pretty close win, 10-0 in the fourth quarter. Outscored them 10-0 in the fourth quarter to win 20-17. Tennessee plus 12.5 at San Francisco, lost by 13. Hope you didn't take that one. That's a bad loss. Las Vegas plus 11.5 at Philly, 31-0 loss. I mean, there's a reason I'm not putting Las Vegas in the main official plays anymore. And yeah, you see why. New York Jets plus 13.5 at Jacksonville, lost 48-20. Another team that I'm just, if it fits the model, it can go in honorable mentions, but I'm not making Las Vegas, the Jets, I'm not making those official plays anymore. Although the Jets have actually done pretty well for us this year when it comes to covering against the spread. But like I said, that brings our record to 35-20 on the season. Pretty good. We've got a lot of wins, got some losses, but hey, that's going to happen when you're gambling. So 3-0, 1-2, no in-betweens as of late. It's just 3-0 or 1-2 over the last few weeks. So let's try again to go 3-0, shall we? Now, Public Fades Week 16 official plays coming up right here. Game 1. Now, as far as grossness goes, let me look at these plays real quick. I mean, there are a couple, maybe you could say gross, but one of the biggest games in the weekend is one of our plays. And I'm really excited for that game, really just to watch it, watch what happens, see how it goes. But as far as the first play of the day, we got the Chargers at the Cowboys, minus 2.5 for Dallas. 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. 73% of the money, 68% of the bets are on the Chargers. Why is Dallas the favorite in this game? I mean, you look at it, Chargers 10-4 straight up, 8-6 against the spread. Dallas 6-7-1 straight up, 7-7 against the spread. Dallas on a 2-game losing streak at Detroit, 44-30 loss versus Minnesota Sunday Night Football last week, 34-26 loss. Dallas, their last win was on Thanksgiving, a big win over the Chiefs at the time, 31-28. And then on the other side, Chargers, 3-game win streak. Las Vegas, Philly in overtime 2 weeks ago, Monday Night Football. Chiefs last week in a game that they won 16-13. Patrick Mahomes went out on the game I guess you could say could have been game-winning, game-tying drive, and we know torn ACL, PCL, I think it was as well. Not looking good for Patty, but 2 weeks in a row, though, the LA Chargers were just in slug matches, just slugging it out. 22-19 win over Philly. Like I said, that one in overtime, Monday Night Football. 16-13 win over Kansas City. Just dogging it out in these games. Justin Herbert banged up, still dealing with that, a broken left hand that he had surgery on a couple weeks ago and still played. Dallas with a 1% chance of making the playoffs. Cue the Lloyd Christmas. So you're telling me there's a chance. And Dumb and Dumber. Yeah! All that being said, I mean, the question remains, why? Why is Dallas the favorite? Why is it -2.5? Why, if Dallas is even the favorite, why give them, those 3 points that they got to win by and not like a pick-em game? The public's thinking the same thing. Like I said, 73% of the public, as far as the money goes, they're on the Chargers on the road. You're giving them 2.5 points, right? I mean, they just beat the Chiefs. They just beat the Eagles. And the Cowboys just lost to the Vikings. They lost to the Lions 2 weeks ago by 14 points. I mean, Dallas, how can you pick the Cowboys as a -2.5 point favorite? This is why we fade the public, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking the Cowboys -2.5 in Dallas. Jerry World, 1 o'clock. And we're going to see what happens. On to game number 2 now. Now, this one's just one of those games. Why are we betting on this? Why? Because I like to have fun, okay? I like to just call my shots and hopefully they go through the hoop. We got the Vikings at the Giants. Game 2, 1 o'clock. -2.5 for Minnesota on the road in MetLife Stadium. 80% of the money and the bets are on Minnesota. 6-8 straight up are the Vikings. Also 6-8 against the spread. New York Giants, 2-12 straight up. Ew. 6-8 against the spread as well. So a lot of these games they're losing, they're keeping close or at least covering. Earlier, I mentioned 9 got a big win. Minnesota, big win in Dallas last week. They're out of the playoffs. They're just playing for the future at this point. They are on a 2-game winning streak. They defeated Dallas Sunday Night Football last week. And then a public fades from 2 weeks ago where we did go 3-0. We took Vikings money line at home against the Commanders. They won 31-0. Minnesota's looking good, huh? Minnesota's looking real good, huh? A lot to look forward to going into next season with J.J. McCarthy. The Giants, in that same span, lost to the same Washington team last week. Or was it the same team, huh? Now, let me remind you, when Washington went to Minnesota, it was news that Jaden Daniels was starting. They get their quarterback back, and then during that game, he gets hurt again, re-aggravates his injury. Then we see Zach Ertz with just a terrible, terrible knee injury in that game. Vibes were very low for Washington in that game 2 weeks ago. Then they go on to New York last week at the Giants, and they win. Why is that? Maybe Marcus Mariota led the boys. Maybe they were rallying behind the injuries and just the bad season that they've had. They were playing with pride last week. And yeah, I just think it was 2 different games, 2 different teams almost for Washington. So this is a Jackson Dart versus 9 battle. Jackson Dart, J.J. McCarthy, both basically rookies. I mean, rookie season last year for J.J. McCarthy, didn't play a down. So this is kind of his rookie year if you want to look at it that way. Both of these quarterbacks have concussion issues this season. They're getting told that, hey, just slide. Don't lower that shoulder. Just slide. Let's see what, stay healthy. We want y'all. Y'all are the franchise guys going forward. I just feel this is going to be a weird game in MetLife Stadium, one that we see all the time. And if you look at like I said, 80% of the money and the bets are on the Vikings -2.5, Plus 2.5 for the Giants is plus money, plus 100. So if you want to, you can lay that. I'm going to go ahead and buy it down a full point to Giants plus 3.5 at home against the Vikings at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And then for game 3, 4 o'clock slate. A game I'm very excited to just see what happens. This is one of the biggest games of the weekend besides maybe, Green Bay and Chicago because that's in the division. The winner will still have a chance for the number 1 seed in the NFC, as well as probably going to win that NFC North. But this one right here, play number 3 of the weekend. Jacksonville at Denver. We got the Jags at the Broncos, minus 3.5 for Denver. Like I said, one of the biggest games of the weekend. 66% of the money, 58% of the bets are on the home team, Denver Broncos. They are 12-2 straight up, 6-8 against the spread. Now Jacksonville, 10-4 straight up, 9-5 against the spread. Now, pay attention to that, okay? 12-2 for Denver, but 6-8 against the spread, and 10-4 for Jacksonville, 9-5 against the spread. So just pay attention to those. Denver, 11-game winning streak. Guess what? Out of those 11 games, only 4 wins were by 4 points or more. And a lot of those wins that were 4 points or more were against teams that aren't even in the playoffs. Okay? So all those games, 7 games out of this 11-game win streak, they won by 3 points or less. A lot of game-winning field goals for Denver this season, okay? Now, you got to be a good team to win 11 games in the NFL in a row. Let's just say that right now. They kind of got lucky last week against Green Bay at home because Green Bay was up by 9 points, looked like they were about to rout Denver in that second half before Christian Watson went down and left the game. Then obviously Micah Parsons with an ACL tear. He's done for the season. Still feel like it's too early to talk about that for me. I mean, I'm tore up about that game last week. We had 7 players. Because I am on the Packers team, we had 7 players that left that game due to injury. So Denver kind of got lucky last week, let's be honest. All right. Now, Jacksonville also on a 5-game winning streak. They've won 6 of their last 7. Their last loss was at Houston, 36-29, 6 weeks ago. Now, that's 29 points scored against the number 1 defense in the NFL. Okay. Denver is also up there with Houston in terms of historically great defenses this season. And they were on a way, like I said, to getting kind of ran through by Green Bay last week, in my opinion, before those injuries. Now, I like Bo Nix. I just think that whenever it's all said and done, we get into these playoffs, Denver's not going to be there in the AFC Championship or Super Bowl conversation. They're probably going to, if they don't get the number 1 seed, let's say the Patriots get the number 1 seed in the AFC, I don't see Denver making it past the first 2 rounds. I really don't. Now, we'll see, but don't say I didn't warn you about that, okay? Now, like I said, biggest game on the Sunday slate. It's hard to beat Denver on the road this season. They are undefeated at home, okay? Now, let me remind you of that stat that I said, 11-game win streak. 7 of those wins were by 3 points or less. And I do think Jacksonville has been a team that's been very slept on this season. So we are going to take the Jaguars plus 3.5 on the road going into Denver. As we wrap up the 3 official plays for Public Fades, those will be included into the record going forward. Now, these next 4 are not. The honorable mentions do not count towards the record, okay? But they do fit the model. Now, whether it's a team that I don't want to bet on or a team that I can't bet on because I promised myself I would never bet on the Green Bay Packers ever again in my life after they lost to, Monday Night Football to the Eagles a few weeks ago. Sure y'all remember that one. I do. Honorable mentions, Week 16, Saturday at 5 o'clock. We actually got both games on the Saturday slate here in honorable mentions. Philadelphia -7 at Washington. 88% of the money, 82% of the bets are on Philly. Washington, like I said, got a little prideful victory last week. Philly has been struggling, although the last couple weeks, well, we saw 31-0 against Las Vegas. But the week before that, Jalen Hurts threw, 4 interceptions against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. The height of the offensive struggles, all the narratives from the sports media about Philadelphia. Now, if I were to take this play, I would buy it down to +7.5 for Washington at home. Do as you please. Okay, I'm staying away from it. The second game on Saturday, 8 o'clock, Green Bay at Chicago. Chicago pick'em favorites with 79% of the money, 66% of the bets on the Bears. Green Bay, like I said, a lot of injuries. Looks like as of right now, Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, both questionable going into this game, and they're both going to try to play, and I hope they do. No Micah Parsons, obviously. A couple more injuries on the defensive side of the ball as well. Green Bay offensive line now banged up. But when you have 79% of the money on Chicago, who was the underdog just a couple days ago before the line flipped, I know Luther Burden is not going to be playing for Chicago, as well as another name I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you'd like to, I would probably take Green Bay +1.5, although I'm not betting that game. Just telling you right now, because I can't bet on my teams anymore. Green Bay has let me down against the spread few times this year. Few times. But we'll also look forward to Sunday at 1 o'clock. Buffalo at Cleveland. 10.5-point favorites for Buffalo on the road with 87% of the money and 76% of the bets on the Bills. There's a reason I'm not including this one, okay? Now, Cleveland's defense is one of the best when they're at home. When they're on the road, it does not travel well for whatever reason. Myles Garrett's going for the sack record this season. He's 1 sack away from tying it. Another half sack after that, he would have the official sack record for most sacks in a season. He needs to get it done in 16 games, though, if you ask me. So that would be this week. He would need to get that done next week. You know, you add the 17th game and, we got this week and then next. So he's got to get it done by next week, in my opinion. The week after that, the final week of the NFL season, that's when that 17th game comes into play. When it was done originally, Michael Strahan did it in 16 games. But yeah, so Buffalo at Cleveland, if you want Cleveland +10.5, 87% of the money, like I said, is on Buffalo. Cleveland at home, the defense plays a lot better, but I'm staying away. And then at 4:30 on Sunday, we've got Pittsburgh at Detroit. Lions -6.5-point favorites with 90% of the money. 69% of the bets are on Detroit. This is the most public side of the weekend. So I would probably buy it down to Pittsburgh +7.5 just to maybe throw it in a parlay or, hopefully they keep it within a touchdown. That 6.5 when you're taking the underdog, there's just so many ways that you can lose by 7 points. And yeah, so if you want to, I'm staying away from it just because I don't know. I don't know why I'm staying away from this one. I don't know, but I am. So yeah, Pittsburgh +6.5, +7.5 if you'd like to buy it down. But as far as the official plays, recap right here. Dallas -2.5 at home against the Chargers. Why? That's exactly why. The question why is the reason why. Okay. New York Giants +3.5 at home versus Minnesota, and then Jacksonville +3.5 at Denver. The 3 official plays for public fades week 16. Now you have them. You have the plays. Do as you please with them. Please do not bet your house, as always. For those on TikTok, as I make this promo clip right now, you have to either go to MD Minds on YouTube to see the full episode here, Public Fades, or you can just, hit the follow button, maybe turn on notifications or something, because I clip these plays up every weekend and post them well before the games start. So if you're just now like finding this promo clip and you're like, how's he going to make a clip without any plays? He's talking about these plays that he made. You'd be surprised how many times people comment that. But yeah, so join the movement. Join Public Fades here on $1 Million Radio. You add the plays, do what you want with them. Don't bet your house. Always bet responsibly. I say that every week for, I guess, legal purposes. I really don't know. I'm not sponsored by a sports book or anything, so I don't really know all the rules on that, but you get it. You get it. So yeah, that'll be it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Week 16, Public Fades. Yeah, we got 2 more weeks after this before playoffs start. And I really think that week 18, I may have a play for every game. Just to go out with a bang. And it might bite me in the butt. But, I guess we'll just have to see whenever the time comes. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you. This has been Public Fades, NFL Week 16, best bets. And as always, we'll see you next time.